Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another episode of the Sanity Project podcast. You are here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, and success. Our guest today is an amazing person who has accomplished a great deal in her brief life. I'm saying brief life because I don't think she's very old, and she's stunning, and she's smart, and her name is Ashley Crouch. Ashley Crouch is an award-winning visibility strategist and the founder of Appleseed Communications. Ashley has written for Forbes, The New York Times, Business Insider, Fast Company, Time.com, Huffington Post, Refinery 29, Bust, and more. She has trained over 2,000 people worldwide on visibility and publicity strategy in the past year. Ashley is the author of the #1 international best-selling book, Unknown to Unforgettable: How to Stop Playing Small, Land National Media Attention, and Position Yourself as a Power Player. Welcome to the show, Ashley Crouch.
Thank you for having me, Joanne. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here too. I love that you have many capacities in this world. And how did you get in this world?
By accident, Joanne. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. But the truth is that all the women in my lineage didn't have much of a career. We grew up in the South. I grew up at the end of a dirt road in Arkansas with 100 chickens. And my horizon line for my future, by all intents and purposes, could have stayed right there. And my family would have been very happy. But what I always thought was I wanted more. I wanted to be more, do more, and have more. Didn't know exactly what that meant, but I just felt this compulsive urge within me to expand to my fullest potential. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this can probably relate. So after being the first woman on both sides of my family to receive a college degree, I wound up, through a happenstance, getting invited to New York City, where I was on the founding team for a fashion magazine. And I didn't have any background, did not study this at all, but I was passionate about the company. And anyone listening to this with startup or, trying to make their side hustle bigger, you know how it is working around the clock, nights and weekends in pursuit of that big dream. Well, after 3 years, Joanne, we were going nowhere fast and receiving a lot of skepticism and, frankly, a lot of people thinking we were cute, but not much to be reckoned with. So after that time, I volunteered, basically. I said, look, I would like to self-nominate to run the PR campaign for this official launch. And I didn't know anything about PR. I only knew what got results or I would get fired. So I ran all around Manhattan living my, dream come true, basically. And we got 180 media features in 8 months, which included Huffington Post and New York Mag, Harper's Bazaar, Entrepreneur, all the top ones. When I realized, whoa, the company was exploding in traffic and buyers, and we were selling out in Barnes & Noble. And it gave me this aha moment that, wow, so many other businesses could really use the ability to tell a story that captures the imagination of their clients and customers. And with that, I took the bold leap and launched my company in 2014. And we have grown to a global presence with global clients. We just signed a client in the Philippines yesterday, as a matter of fact. And it's just grown from there.
Well, you're in the right place with the right audience, because I know that there are some listeners who have done similar things, maybe not to as large a task as you've accomplished, but they have thrown themselves in there. They have discovered their calling, because you have it. You've discovered your calling just by walking the streets of Manhattan, and you made a difference in the world in many, many, many ways. And I know that the people that are listening that have done similar things, they're going, tell me more. What do I do? How do I make this happen with me?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, first of all, I will let you know, I believe in my core that we live by the stories that we tell about who we are, and we live by the stories that we hear about who we could be. And so it's a mission for me to balance out the stories we hear in television, national media, and represent the true solution creators who are being those role models in the world, so that people who are reading media or listening or watching TV can have a message of hope for their lives. I see it as a duty and a responsibility because I have that skill. But the second thing is, it's so important to craft the story that you tell yourself about what is possible. Let me give you an example. You mentioned my book is a bestseller. Well, what people don't know is that it took me 7 years to write that book because I did not see myself as an author. I didn't see my self-image as someone who was a best-selling author. And even though I represented so many authors and ran best-selling campaigns right and left, it didn't feel like it was for me. So I had to do hundreds and thousands of affirmations for years, to the point where I had rewired the self-image. And when I had rewired it, I wrote the book in 2 weeks.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I understand that totally, because when I was in the early parts of doing my business and I was coaching and consulting, et cetera, and people say, oh, you should write a book, you know so much, ... Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, no, I can't do that. More internally than externally, of course. I tried every writing course that was available to me in California. I did everything that I thought was the quote unquote right thing to do. And one day I got a call from the local newspaper because somehow somebody gave them my name, and it was a business section, and somebody said, could you get me a business column on anything in 2 days? I said, sure. But that took almost 10 years.
Right. But then you could. And it was the rewiring of it. I love that story so much. One thing that I live by is the phrase, what you see is what you get.
Correct.
It's so much more about than just being transparent and showing up authentically. It's truly about a perspective and a lens that we all have. And an author that I love, the author of The Big Leap, he talks about how we have been raised to have a series of paradigms about what is possible for us. And these create unconscious commitments about who we can be and who we can't be. So whenever I hear people talking about, and especially for women, the glass ceiling. We have to smash the glass ceiling. Well, the first thing I always say is the glass ceiling is internal. And matter of fact, it's a mirror. So as soon as you look up, whatever you see there in that mirror is what you think you can be, do, and have. And what happens is these unconscious commitments could be things like, I will never outshine my father.
Oh, got that one.
That lands. Women do not belong here. If I move away, I will betray my family. If I make more money, I will be used by everyone else in my family who doesn't prioritize wealth. There's many, many different unconscious commitments. So what we have to do is create a new self-image, because you will never surpass your self-image. And that's the first thing. I would have never thought I would build a global company when I got started. That's the honest truth. Because when I built my company in 2014, living in Manhattan, I kid you not, my goal was to make $40,000 a year. And I said, if I can make $40,000 a year, I'm free. That's all I want, because I have life on my own terms. And that continued to expand as I worked on myself more and more. But it started with that decision to take that leap of faith in that first step, and then the rewiring work over years to see what's really possible, so that I could do things like write a book or build a global company or put people in front of 10 million in 2 weeks on TV. It was all about what I believed was available for me.
So as you started with the reframing of your mind and the hopefully rewiring of your mind, the universe provided you, whatever we want to call the universe or the gods or whatever, your intuition, whatever, provided you with the opportunities to move forward. Now, there are some people, and you went with it. You took it and you flew. There's some people who see these things coming at them and they just turn their back.
Right.
They see the opportunities. They've asked for this. They've asked for the help. They've said, Lord, give me help now. make it now. And then it comes and they go, whoops, I can't handle that, which is the ego coming in again saying, I'm going to keep you back down to under 20K a year or whatever is their magic number.
Right.
So you were blessed and you able to align your blessing with your mind, with your demand that you move forward.
Yes, and it's a matter of making the decision first. Because
Correct.
everything orients around the first decision. So a lot of people, they talk a lot about how they want XYZ thing. And I don't know what the quote is or who said the quote, but they say a dream without a plan is a wish.
Correct.
And so it starts with the decision, I am going to have this. And also the unwavering belief that abundance is available. And so in these times, this is particularly tricky because we are at unprecedented layoffs. Coming into 2020, the stats showed that 60 million people were freelancers anyway by choice because it only takes 30 seconds to launch a business, according to the founder of Airbnb. That's great. But now we have millions of additional people that find themselves without a position of 9-to-5 employment, not by choice. And here's where the unwavering belief in abundance has to come in. When you believe that there is abundance, it always is. It always is. Even if your life circumstances change, it is available. It may have moved. It's like with money. Money is suddenly not available to you. Well, it might be time for a pivot. There's a new target market that you need to reach out to. Money still exists. It just moved. It's somewhere else now. And so that's something that's really important. I say PR stands for pivot and rise because never before has it been more important to pivot and rise this year. And what I tell people is this year has done a number on everyone, and everyone's been questioning, what the heck is going on? What can we expect? How can we make a plan? And so whether you find yourself at the start of your freelance journey, not by choice, or scaling your company and you're having your best year ever, then I say this is absolutely possible for you. It's all about how you show up. So it's a choice and it's a decision first. This year in February, I went on a holiday to learn to ski. And I had a tragic fall on the ski hill and I tore my ACL in my knee and was whisked to the hospital in an ambulance in another country.
Oh, dear. Okay.
So February 20th, I flew back to the U.S. February 28th, the day before they closed the borders from Austria to the U.S. I was in a wheelchair. And coming from doing fitness challenges, 5Ks, the best revenue year of my career last year, to bedridden, I literally could not make my own coffee. I experienced in my body what the world experienced in quarantine, total shutdown. And it gave me so much empathy for what every single person could be going through in that moment. And the one thing that got me through was it doesn't matter what the external circumstances are. It doesn't matter who people told you could be or what you need to do. It's all about how you show up in that moment. And from that moment in March, my client base went on a hard stop because in the world of PR, typically you cannot guarantee a result. People pay high fees. You don't know what you're getting. And there are major issues with the industry. So PR was one of the first line items to get cut for any small business owner or startup. So I went from super high plans for the year, we're going to triple our business, to bedridden, no clients, and stuck at home, like most people.
Right. But I bet you turned it around.
Well, for 3 months, I went dark. And
good. Smart person knows when to pay attention to themselves.
Thank you. Well, I didn't post on social media. I just went into reflecting about what is the opportunity zone here? What is the growth zone here? Because again, it goes back to the self-identity. Who am I? Well, I'm an athlete. I'm someone who takes care of themselves. I'm someone who runs a global business. So I did a lot of self-identity work regardless of the circumstances. And then happy to report, I solved a lot of the issues of the industry where we can now guarantee a lot of results within a certain period of time through our exclusive alliances. And it completely transformed the company, and I believe will transform the industry from the inside out. And now we're on track to have our best revenue year ever.
Wow.
But it's all about that start of the mindset.
And again, people have to make the decision. I've spoken to so many people. Mostly I'm spending my work time just counseling people on getting out of the depression, because their depression, on whichever level it may exist. And it's, they're just fighting this, and they're not letting themselves see that this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Because this is where their creativity and their product, again, adapt. It's always about adapt. A little to the left, a little to the right, but you can adapt. And, but getting it through to people that, some people are a little bit older. They're not 30 anymore. They're maybe closer to 40, 50 or more. And they go, well, maybe I'll just retire. And I said, what are you going to do? Crawl into bed and pull the blankets over your face?
Right.
You have skills and talents that are God-given, that you have, presented to the world. You know what you're doing, and you need to be there for your people. Mm. So getting them from that place has taken a lot of my time recently. Well, it's part of what, I have no problem doing that, but it's part of what's necessary to coach people through their problems, not just to the success without dealing with what's going on internally. So, and thank goodness you had your 90-day break and used your mind, heart, and soul to reinvent, recreate, reform, reframe, whatever the words are, your own business, and how you have that impact on the world.
Well, thank you. I do believe that it's a lot more confronting when these kinds of things happen. If you already kind of had a paradigm that you didn't deserve to be successful.
Yes.
Or you aren't allowed to have money, or your voice doesn't matter. And a lot of clients, I see that, because when you do visibility work, we can now guarantee putting clients in front of 5 to 10 million within 30 to 60 days. We can guarantee that. And I talk to people all the time where they have beautiful books, messages, courses, coaching programs, and it honestly could save lives. And they're here to serve, and I believe that. But as soon as I tell them, I can put you in front of this amount within 30 to 60 days, they live out of a trauma or a paradigm or a false belief and that unconscious commitment that it isn't actually that important. And so we have had the ability to put clients in front of 70 million people in the past 2 weeks, and we have not, because 7 people said no.
Oh my.
And those 7 people could have altered a lot of fear-mongering in the media, because the media has only so much airtime, right? So if I can put all these solution creators where they belong in a mission and script it and control the messaging so that they get exactly what they want for their own business growth, plus the impact of reaching literally the volume of every person in Manhattan, then I see it as a mission and a duty to help change the world during these times. But we have to do the internal work to receive that opportunity when it's available to us. And I see it all the time. But it's okay, because we respect people and everybody's on a journey. But it's just such a beautiful message that, one, now this exists. It is possible to guarantee this and work with us and get this done. Number 2, we have more tools available to us than ever before. And number 3, this has been one of the most catastrophic years, but it's also a growth zone where we now have the ability to really sit with ourselves, reflect. We're confronted with so many things, and unless that comes out, we can never heal it. So it's really a path forward for us.
I think it's a great time. I'm going to read this quote that I posted this morning. It's by Roberto Clemente. He was a baseball player. And he said, and you just said it just in your own way, anytime you have an opportunity to make a difference in this world and you don't, you're wasting your time on earth.
Well,
And that's the truth. I hope these people who you have spoken to, these lucky 7, who have heard your voice, and in getting them, the opportunity to share what they have to share with the world that will help make the world better, change their mind, have a dream, get out of their trauma even for a moment, to think, maybe this is okay, because they're afraid. And you have to get them through their fear. That somebody has to get them through their fear, because they're afraid. It may be trauma-based, but it's fear.
Yeah, and it's fear. It's fear-based. It is a very scary thing to raise your head and say, look, I have a message that's valuable enough to be heard, and that I do believe I can heal people. But the second thing is, it's also that, I lost my train of thought for a second.
It's okay.
So the first thing is the mindset work, right? So knowing that when you are afraid, it is likely because you live within a paradigm that this is bumping against the parameters of who you should be.
Got it.
So that's why you're afraid, right? And so just knowing that, it's like, okay, this is challenging me about my self-identity belief and my self-image belief. That can all be rewired. Totally fine. The second thing to get over the fear is a compelling desire to serve, and really visualizing the people that you are helping. The cousin who got diagnosed with cancer, the person with mental illness, the mindset coach, right, who is helping people to overcome their limiting beliefs. I mean, this is life-changing work here. And so when you visualize their faces, and I wake up every morning, I visualize the people that I want to serve, the people that I'm going to serve. When you're driven by a compelling desire to serve, it overcomes all the fear. And at that point, you can better trust those experts to get you across the finish line and get that impact and that significance and that meaning in front of so many more people.
Well, I congratulate you on the insights that you have about how our minds can be reframed to work for good, and how you look at these people that you can help. And I would hope that those people that you're looking at in turn would look back at you.
I believe it. I think we're all compelled forward and propelled forward, and the people we're seeking are seeking us, and we all meet perfectly aligned when the time is there. And I just applaud you for all the work you're doing during these times. It's really life-changing, and people really need, support and those conscious connections and linking arms, and we'll all get through this together.
Well, there is no other way. There is no other way that we can get through it, because we can't do it alone, because that's not the way we're made. We are social beings. Well, why don't you we have a few minutes remaining. Why don't you give people, what is this 10% rule that you have? Hold on a second. That you need to embrace the 10% rule when pitching your publications. What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, we've been spending most of the conversation talking about context, because the context is everything.
Correct.
For the content and the training. But tactically speaking, if somebody wants to start pitching themselves to the media, I have my book. I'm happy to give it away for free. Just pay for shipping. And it gives you the step-by-step, I call it the top 3 steps of what to do to land national media. And you can get that on my website. But the second thing is that in terms of the 10% rule, perfect segue, Joanne, because the 10% rule is all about landing results, but mastering your mindset while you do it. So a lot of people, they don't get results because 1, they never pitch themselves at all. 2, they pitch themselves, but they hear crickets, so they don't try again. And 3, they get the interview, but it falls flat, and they feel discouraged. So the 10% rule is that you need to know whenever you pitch that 10% will say yes. And so you pitch 10 to get 1, or you pitch 50 to get 5. It's a numbers game, just like sales. And so once you know what your story angles are and your pitch letter is, then you put that in front of the intentionally chosen media outlets, and just know it's probably going to be 10%. If it's more, you can celebrate. But if it's 10%, then all those other either crickets or rejection, that's just one more step towards the ultimate yes.
Well, how can people find you so that you can help them with their 10% pitch so that they can get booked on television, because that seems to be your main skill right now, or your main focus. So how can they find you?
Oh, absolutely. Well, if anybody wants to reach out, they go to unknowntounforgettable.com. unknowntounforgettable.com. You can get a free copy of my book there, as well as book in for a call with me or someone on my team. And we can place in TV nationwide, as well as national outlets, top tier podcasts. And I would love to help anyone who this has resonated for really get their message and their mission out front and center during these times.
That's all we can ask for. Okay, listeners, what I always say is re-listen to this podcast first. You may have listened and gotten excited, but you forgot to take notes. You may have listened and missed things. So re-listen to this and give this to the important people in your life, whoever they may be. I want to thank Ashley Crouch for being here today, because this has been unforgettable, in my opinion. Ashley is more than competent, more than capable of getting you where you think you need to be. And once it happens, you will wonder why you waited so long to do it. This is Joanne Victoria signing off. And for those of you who haven't already been to my website, askjoannevictoria.com, so you can get your free copy of The True Self Handbook, a guide to transform your life. Until next time, listeners, take care. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to askjoannevictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's askjoannevictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.